Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Hello and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm Joe Grumbine, your host, and I have with me two very special guests. And we have Cheryl and Haylee Rose. And we have an incredible story we're going to hear. And this is something that is the first time I've had this conversation, and it's a really great one because I've been working with people in this whole situation for almost 40 years. And it's great. Most people, a lot of people are afraid to share their stories, or they just, it's still such a stigma attached to alternative medicines of all kinds. And that's one of the reasons we do this show, because I really want to be able to share all the different things that can work. And Cheryl and Haylee, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here. We've been actually coordinating this for a few weeks, and we finally got it all together. So
yeah, thank you. Thank you for having us, Joe.
you're very, very welcome. It's my treat. I'm thankful to Devin for finding you guys and scheduling it out. So why don't you just briefly tell us a little bit about what brings you here and tell your story?
Well, Haley was started medical care. She has Lennox-Gastaut syndrome, which is a severe, rare form of epilepsy, childhood epilepsy. She's now 31.
So no, I'm 31.
Oh, 31
on the 11th of April.
Yes.
Good job.
Almost 31.
So when did this begin? Like, when was the diagnosis, or what caused you to even think there was an issue? Like, how did this all begin?
Well, when she was a year old, and the doctors now believe that this is probably where it stems from. There are going to be some gene tests and things like that for confirmation, but this is what they suspect now. Is that sometime after her MMR shot, just after that, she started having absence seizures, and it was actually misdiagnosed because she was so young. The pediatrician actually thought that she just had an attitude. And and she was like hyperventilating and absence seizures. And I'm like, I was a new mom. I
and there's no rule book for being a new mom, unless Dr. Spock counts, but
so it was interesting. And obviously he didn't know any different. So it was, and because it didn't happen all the time, it just kind of got set aside and kind of just ignored for many years. And then in kindergarten age, she had the second one to it. And sometime around that, then right around the second shot of the MMR specifically, she started having more seizures. So I'm not for or against vaccines. This is just the timeline that has happened.
Right. And frankly, there's no way to know if one thing has anything to do with the other, but
yeah, and it's something that they are is still investigating. Absolutely. So I can talk about that.
Oh, look, trust me, you're in a good place to talk about these things.
So she started having more absence seizures in class, and like a lot more over that time, and also other types of seizures.
So this is about 5-6 years old, or in that range.
Yeah. And by the time between 6 and 8, the neurologists were checking her out and stuff, but they couldn't, some of the stuff was not showing up. Some of it was, they tried multiple medications. They were not effective. And so they thought, well, maybe it's not really epilepsy. Right. And they took her off everything. And when they did that, it was about 2001. And I asked them about medical cannabis back then. And nobody They were more willing to
amazing.
talk about embryonic stem cells being transplanted into her brain than they were cannabis. And I was like, okay, so this
Wow.
wasn't good.
Yeah.
I ended up, because they took her off the meds, no answers. I actually came to the States.
Okay.
We were down in Sacramento, and I went to the States looking for options, looking for doctors that might be willing to look at it. The States had much more going for it that I could find, right?
Right.
It was available information for me to find. So I thought, we're going to go head that way. I didn't know where I was going either. So,
Well, even at that stage of the game in California, like we didn't even pass our medical until 96. So in 2001, it was still early times. I mean, I was at my stage of my career, I was doing extracts and experimenting, but we didn't know. I mean, you know, the only thing we knew, it was safe. We just knew
yeah.
it wasn't going to hurt you. And so because of that, we weren't afraid to try it. And we had to find willing people to be willing to try it.
I wish I had found you.
Yeah, I wish I would have known you then. That would have been, you could have been part of all the experiments.
Oh, we would have been. That was the problem, is I couldn't find anybody, and I had two other younger children, right? So the rules, the laws, it was illegal in Canada,
Oh
right?
yeah.
So by the time January 6, 2008 rolled around, so 7 years, I tried to find doctors. They did when we were in California,
Uh-huh.
the seizures came back, and she had 40 grand moles in 24 hours,
Oh, geez.
plus like other types of seizures as well. But
Wow.
those were like the most impactful. And we took her in hospital. They put her on phenobarbital, the
Great.
old drug, but they didn't know what else to do, right? So
Right. At least it stops you. I'm like, you
yeah,
can't move, but can't do anything.
exactly, right.
That's a hallucinating drug?
Eventually, yes, you did hallucinate on it. And years
Yeah.
later, yeah, we had
And
some
that's what they
wild
give
drug
to
reactions.
violent schizophrenics. I mean, that's the thing that knocks out a moose. It'll take everybody out.
Oh yeah, it was rough. And then we came back here, and I kept searching for doctors, searching for anyone. No one would, so I listened to them, right? I listened to what the professionals had at that time for their knowledge,
Right.
right? And cannabis was on nobody's radar,
No.
even though I was already like, when I went to the doctors about it, I was pulling up the papers that referred to epilepsy and things that I had found from years ago, right? And wasn't good enough. So then in 2008, January 6, 2008, I was told that she had her last Christmas. It had just, yeah, and to forget school in September, just enjoy my time with her, because every seizure was taking a piece of her away from us.
Wow.
Like every seizure. It was bad. It was
It's
really
heartbreaking. That's completely just devastating.
bad. It was. And in end of May, I took her down to the Vapor Lounge at Cannabis headquarters downtown, and
For you.
yeah, I went down there, and we got her. Actually, it ended up being Michelle Rainey's strain Afghani Bull Rider.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was the first medical cannabis Haylee consumed, and she
Wow.
vaporized it. And within seconds, everybody at the table was like, "Whoa,
Yeah.
okay, wow, the difference." They're like, "What just happened?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" And she's like, starts talking and everything. I saw so.
For those of you who don't understand what she's just saying, I want to be really, really clear, because cannabis medicine doesn't work everything for everybody. Some people don't get any relief, even people with seizures. But when it does work, it can be so dramatic. It could be like a miracle. It could be like Jesus just walked on over and touched you on the head.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It was like
crazy.
she just began talking and
Yeah.
conversing where she was unable, and they actually I think it was Mark and Jody had mentioned to me that
You're referring to Mark and Jody
they
Emery.
thought she just
right?
had like some an autism, to the point that she wasn't like no eye contact, no, not talking, nonverbal, not able to communicate in that way. And all of a sudden she starts talking
Right.
and she's engaged, right? And they're
Wow.
like, whoa. Right? So it was quite shocking for all of us. And I was
Wow.
like,
And
well,
Haylee, do
we're
you
not
remember
stopping.
that moment when that happened?
Do you remember back then when you first had your vaporizer at Mark and Jody's thing?
Not really.
Not really.
Okay.
So with her seizures, they come from all over her brain, right? And her memory is greatly affected. So she's not eligible for, a lot of people may have brain surgery. She's not, they were looking at I believe it was the left temporal lobe. But she has so, like, from the permanent damage from the impact of so many seizures and on both sides, so there wasn't enough for her to retain a short-term and long-term memories properly.
Well, and what people don't realize, what happens in a seizure is like it's like you have electrical wiring for a computer, which is your brain, that's always sending signals. And it's like somebody comes in with a welder and just short
Yeah.
circuit a bunch of stuff. And you don't ever know what's going to happen. And your brain's really good at putting itself back together, but it can only do that so many times effectively. And then it starts to misfire. And that's unfortunately the long term, so when people are talking about seizures, man, it is like if you've ever been with somebody having a seizure and you listen, I listen, like I said, I've been working with moms who are transplants and going from one place to another to try to find, and when they describe these seizures, it's just gut wrenching. And I've experienced a couple of them with people that I've known, and you just don't even know what to do. It's like surreal. And that's once. I mean, I couldn't imagine going through this multiple times, or like you said, 40 times in a day. I mean, I couldn't even.
Yeah, and that was of the one type, right?
Right.
And she had at the time she had multiple seizures. So she had actually 5 different types of seizures,
Wow.
including subclinical seizures. So ones that the
Like
doctors
there's
can't
the
even see.
unknown ones that you can't see. If it's there, and ones that you can't hear.
Wow.
Yeah, like there's no sound. You have no idea.
So it was hard to tell if I was having a seizure or not. So we need to get like some kind of watch to help to tell if it's a real, if that's a seizure, in case it's a silent seizure or a non-seeable seizure.
Yeah, because so eventually we ended up being able to get an Apple Watch to help detect, watch blood ox, also heart rate.
Okay.
Because if she's having a seizure, her heart rate's going to change.
Got it.
So
Some
if you
technology's
can't
not
see
so
it,
bad.
yeah, like, so those are fun,
Yeah,
because you have no idea, right?
Right. Wow.
So that was a lot. But the cannabis immediately made a night and day difference. It
Wow.
was 11 days apart that her doctor saw her, and within those 11 days, she had been on cannabis 9 days, and on her strain, Haley's Comet, about 4 or 5 days.
Wow.
And he couldn't believe it was her. Do you remember what you were doing, the board thing?
When I went to see the doctor after the cannabis, I was singing a song saying, I'm bored, I'm really, really bored. And before the cannabis, I wasn't saying much.
Wow.
That's why he was surprised.
Yeah. Wow.
Remember what he told you? Do you remember what he said? No. She's like, I'm bored, really bored. And he's like, walks in the door and he opens the door because he could hear her from outside the door.
Yeah.
And 11 days prior, we had been there and she was not, she was off balance. Her gait was off. She was in her wheelchair. She, and everything not doing great. And there she is dancing around the room and he opens the door and he's smiling his head off and he's like, your brain is working. And he's like, what did you do? And I'm like, Did
Well,
you
you know
get
what's
the
really
facts?
interesting is like when people have brain issues. I had a massive brain injury when I was a kid. I was in a coma for 3 days. And when I came out, I didn't know anything. I didn't know who I was. I mean, it was a crazy experience, and slowly it came back. But when people have brain issues, there's an assumption that there's nothing working. And your brain has intake and output, and you can receive information, process it, think about it, and not be able to communicate it back. And people don't understand that you're in there. And I remember I had a dear friend who had brain cancer, and before he passed away, he was really in a bad way, and his whole body was, imploding on him. And I remember it was at Thanksgiving. He came over to my place, and we shared one of our last meals together. And I remember he told me, he goes, "I'm in here." Like he couldn't communicate, but he's like, "I'm here, I'm here." I'm like, "Dude, don't even worry about it. We got you." But that's the thing. Like people have to realize, like if somebody can't communicate, it doesn't mean that they can't understand. And we have to be thoughtful and under, if we can, it can make all the difference in the world. Because if somebody's treating you like you're not getting it, then all of a sudden you're being diminished. And the humanity, it's like, where do you get it from if somebody doesn't even think you're in there? So that's amazing to even just have that moment that's like, oh, wait a minute, it's not what we thought.
Oh yeah, it was amazing.
Sometimes when I forget, I one time forgot who my stepfather was.
Okay.
Yeah, it was bad. She could not remember his name. She knew it was her sister's dad, but
Mhm.
could not remember his name. And
Wow.
just because of so many seizures,
Right.
it had to repair, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And frankly, you don't need seizures to have that kind of a problem.
No, no.
I don't have seizures, and I forget stuff all the time. So it's not that unusual. But man, that's unbelievable. It's interesting. I just interviewed Mark Emery, I don't know, about a couple months ago. And we hadn't been in communication for 15 years or so, but it was great to have a conversation with him. And then now all of a sudden to talk to somebody who was affected by him and Jody, that's really cool. It's sort of tying everything all together.
Well, they connected us with Michelle Rainey
Hmm.
and Dr. Paul Warnby. And so we
Uh,
worked with Dr. Paul Warnby right up until he passed away.
okay.
So and when so those results that we saw, the doctors went and they went, okay, we're going to do an EEG. There was marked improvement. At this time, Haylee had just turned 15. So her female cycles were starting to kick in. And she actually has severe life-threatening catamenial seizures. So her fluctuations in her hormones actually tried to kill her. They had to give her rectal paraldehyde 3 times,
Wow.
every other day in order to get the seizures to stop. It was so bad. So she's actually has to take certain supplements for that as well. And we ended up not being able to fully come off the pharmaceuticals because now the cannabis was getting rid of all the other seizures, but
Right.
now we had something hormonal that was triggering it, just keeping that gateway open.
And people don't realize the power that hormones have. I mean, these are chemicals that are so powerful. Like if anybody has been around a lot of women in your life, and I mean, I'm a father, a grandfather, and a brother, and I've had lots of women around me all my life. And as soon as they hit that age and they start getting cranky, you're like, what the heck is wrong with you, right? And that's normal without any other factors. And when you sit there and you realize these super powerful chemicals are being dropped into this super volatile environment of your brain that's already fragile. It's like throwing a bomb in there.
Oh
And
yeah.
there's
And
no
what's interesting is that there's a lot of, because these are childhood diseases, it's also seen in boys as boys hit puberty. because they have different hormonal issues.
Oh yeah,
on,
we go
and
crazy.
and so they actually can end up with an increase in seizures as well.
I can
And
imagine.
so it hits from all over, different yet still very powerful, what our hormones in our body do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's huge. And so I couldn't even imagine you'd start compounding this. There's a woman in Colorado right now that deals with a really extreme case, and her daughter's just, at that age now, and it just compounds everything, just makes everything.
Hugely, because you've got to deal with all that. It's another, you can't, it's really, really hard to take care of, right?
Yeah,
We have
yeah.
done so many different things with it. So because this condition, these seizures are lifelong like they're progressive, right? The condition is a progressive condition. So you end up with something works for a while, and because it's medication resistant, things throughout growth, through just for growing, right? And through changes that happen, these seizures are types that change over time as well. So you might have one form present more, and then another form later on presents more. So through the years, you end up with, you do great for a while, and then it's like, oh, we got to relook at this and relook, and you're constantly relooking at it. And in 2018, we found out that after 10 years of cannabis medicine, they now had a pinpoint area of her brain. Instead of everywhere the seizures coming from, they were coming from one more specific area. Okay. So remember that when you were in there for like days, and the doctor came in and he was so upset because nobody was clicking the button.
Oh no.
The only reason why they weren't clicking the button is because, one, you couldn't see it at all.
Oh no.
You usually, I was drawing a picture of one of those.
Oh, so they couldn't see her for part of it.
Tapes. The one that you put in the VCR, one of those.
Huh?
And they couldn't see or tell that I was having a seizure until the doctor came in and he got mad.
Wow.
He here's the thing. It wasn't that he was so much mad. He was actually frustrated within himself because he's watching these videos of her and he's zooming in with their cameras, right? Because we're in a hospital specifically for this.
Yeah.
He's got the EEG hooked up. The EEG is showing him seizure activity, and he's watching this, and there is no visible, not anything visible, nothing to staff, nothing. And he's looking at Haylee, he's going, "How come you didn't hit the button?" She's like, "I didn't know." No one knew. And he's like, and then he goes, "Me either." And I'm like, "Oh, that's why you're so upset right now."
Yeah.
No one can see this. It's so simple.
But it was really powerful that you actually were working with a doctor that was putting that much effort in. I most of the time I have conversations with similar-ish situations, and the biggest problem is the doctors don't have time, they don't care, and it's not that they don't care. I mean, you got to be.
It's not their focus.
You're not the most important thing in their life, and when it's your child, you want them to be the most important thing in your life, and
exactly,
it's impossible to get that to happen. But when that doctor, even for that moment, can make this the most important thing, then that's great. I mean, that's when you have a chance, at least.
Exactly. And so at that point we went, okay, she had 9 seizures. 4 of them were visible, 5 were visible, 4 were not. So now we have to look at something else, because ones we cannot see at all, we have to get rid of those.
Right.
Yeah, we can't have her living hooked up to an EEG. That's right.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, that's not tenable.
So we looked at IVIG blood treatment, where it's like 10,000 donations of blood have to be made in order to make a treatment, something like that. It's crazy. It's a crazy amount of donations per. But she didn't qualify. Now, so there's a series of tests that they do. The first test will tell them how effective it is. The second one will tell them, Okay, right. We kind of go down as to what the causes were, and kind of, they figure out how. Hers was that it would probably help her health wise. And because when her body, she starts to get sick before you even know symptoms, she starts having seizures.
Okay.
So for her, making sure her health is at maximum for her is really important. She did not qualify because she has low IgA, which means she had a 50% chance of anaphylactic shock
Oh no.
from blood products. So I'm like, okay, well,
Oh,
that's not happening. And it's
oh.
also a 6 to 8 hour infusion every 3 weeks. Like
Did you were
it's
talking earlier about the stem cell treatment? Did they end up doing anything with that?
Okay, so what happened was I looked at Sir Ramachandra Stem Cell Institute in India,
Mhm.
and like I said, we're talking way, way back, right? So,
Right, right.
at the time, our neurologist at BC Children's suggested against it, and the reason why was he had already had a patient who went and tried it, and at that time, the stem cells did not disperse evenly. So by effect, they did become what they touched. However, they became in a clump because they couldn't disperse them. So it ended up
Oh,
causing more issues,
got it.
right? Because now you've got that issue, which didn't help the situation. So that's why he was against it.
They just didn't have their methodology down yet. I mean, that was
No, and he was like, I don't know, maybe 10, maybe 100 years. Who knows when they get that fixed? But it's something to look at for later, whatever, right?
got it.
And then I asked him right after that. I asked him about. I had the cannabis paperwork in my hand. I asked him, and he
Oh,
wouldn't even touch the envelope.
wow.
It was rough because
Oh,
at that time it was so bad, right?
I know, I know, I know. I
Yeah.
But when I had the cannabis, after a while, now I might be going off one of my pills, and I forget which one.
It would probably be Banzel.
And one of the and since
Sorry.
we weren't able before the cannabis to take off some of the pills, one of my pills I've been on for so long was one that makes your bones very delicate,
Oh no.
and I have no bone in my jaw,
Yeah, she's got
Oh,
very limited. So
and so some of my teeth fall out.
yeah, she's them. So she's had over 30 pharmaceutical drugs, 1.5 times tried.
wow.
Sorry, one sec.
Yeah, yeah, no worries.
Okay. So yeah, like they ran the gamut and then they started running the gamut again. And because there was nothing else. So, and the thing is, I remember when I brought it up to my doctor, I'm like, hey, her bones and this and that. And so, and then he reminded me of the conversation we had many years before, which was, we're going to give her this drug. It could have issues later for her, but we want her to get to be later, right?
Right.
Like that was the goal. It was like you are accepting that if we can keep her alive, this could be the outcome. And
Yeah.
we went,
And that's a rough call because,
yeah,
if you think if I don't do anything, we know what the outcome's going to be, and we don't want that outcome. And if I do something, it's just like the steroids they give
the
people.
long-term effects.
Exactly.
The long-term effects are dangerous as hell.
Exactly. And it's an impossible choice, It's like what do you as a mother do? What do you as a human being decide? I mean, I know what I would do. I'd say, well, I guess I'll try it because at least I have a chance to do something else.
And look for something else in the meantime, like keep
But
working on it. That's all you can do,
all
really.
you can do, right?
Yeah. And so what happened then was I went looking for the ketogenic diet. She had done it years back, right actually before cannabis. She had come off it. It is completely different than it was in 2008.
So this is
Completely
different
different
than what
diet.
everybody's doing today, trying to lose weight, going keto and paleo and
Well,
all that.
this
It's
is
the same
actually is
idea.
totally different than that. It is metabolic ketogenic diet, but her foods actually weigh to 100th of a gram.
Whoa.
Yeah, dude, it's seriously,
Wow.
yeah, and all her water's measured 2.5 to 3 liters a day.
And
Wow.
half an hour of it.
Yeah, like every so often she's got it timed out how much she's trying to make sure she drinks.
And make sure I don't drink too much, because the most I could go to is 5 full bottles a day.
Yeah, because we don't want to oversaturate her either, right?
Well, and the problem with that, people don't realize, like, ketosis is an interesting thing because it can be really great for a short period of time, but over the long time, you can't do it. It'll kill you.
It can be really difficult. I know that they're doing, like, her dietitian is treating everything from migraines to cancer.
right.
So if you have a reason, like, it has benefits,
Oh,
but
yeah,
you have to know what you're doing with it, right?
exactly.
If you're not, like, there's things that you can do that can make it a very livable sort of thing, but then also, like, well, we've got her on, she's on going on year 6 now. So I went and I couldn't find any adult keto doctor or dietitian in Canada. So
Wow.
except for in Toronto, and she couldn't fly because vibration causes seizures, certain sounds trigger seizures.
Oh,
Oh, rain, water brushing
wow.
your teeth. Oh
Wind,
yeah.
Oh, no.
wind, and driving by fast,
Fast.
and having shadows moving around,
Wow.
It's
and-
really,
and
really
blinking
effective.
lights, like for example, flickering lights, stop signs, the green and blue and yellow one,
Huh?
and vibration, like one vibration is like a motor from a car or an airplane,
Wow.
because
Airplanes make a lot of vibration too.
Oh yeah, like
because last time I was on an airplane, I seized
Oh,
on my way to California.
no, Ottawa. We were off to Ottawa.
wow.
And it was such a bad seizure, I almost broke the window, and
Because it was causing confusion, right? And frontal lobe behavior. She tried punching out the window. On our
Oh,
way back, they had the sheriff sitting near us in case I needed help. Because she was
wow.
like out of control. So many seizures going off from the air
Wow.
pressure.
and another light one is like ones that move around, or movie theater, because if it's too big of a screen, it's too much of light. But like on tablets or phone, that's a good amount
in a
Okay.
well lit area. Yeah.
sometimes,
Wow.
unless I had a seizure. Then I shouldn't use those kind of lights, tablets or phone, because it could go back in a seizure. Books can cause seizure.
Reading the letters on the paper, the black
Oh,
and white.
no.
Oh
Wow.
yeah, we're talking. There's been a lot. So what happened was we started the ketogenic diet in around 2018, and in 2021, Haley had basically a clear EEG. There was one slow spike wave without formation. So he was like, "It's clear."
Yeah,
and then
even another one of a kind of vibration is like rollerblading.
oh yeah, which
But hiking would be okay because it doesn't have
no, it wouldn't, because it's still got the vibration of the
no,
tires.
now it's
Oh, well,
okay because of the seat. There's are getting better,
Okay.
but still vibration like rollerblades as well.
Yeah,
Right.
rollerblades have smaller wheels. They pick up a lot more of those bikes. You get a fat tire bike, it's probably not so bad.
So, what happened was we started the ketogenic diet. 2021, basically clear EEG. 2022, basically clear EEG. The problem was that Haley was having. She's on the ketogenic diet. She's got specific amount of glucose we expect for her and ketones, and she's got these beautiful EEGs. They're
Nice.
doing the EEGs. We ran ones at home. So as these EEGs are clear, she's actually going into hypoglycemic and excessive ketosis issues, to the point that we were giving her 2 liters of apple juice, fruits, everything. Her diet went from a 4-to-1 down to a 1-to-1 ratio, and she was still
Oh,
suffering.
no.
She had it was hilarious because the EEG tech is checking her and looking at it and going, "It's clear," as I'm giving her apple juice to down to fix her glucose. And
Whoa.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think once after that, I think they took it off the diet or something.
Yeah, and so 2021 for a little bit.
I could eat regular food like from restaurants.
We went to White.
How was that? I mean, even just like sometimes when you're stuck in such a regimen, you just want to try something different. And they'd say, no, you can't have it. No, you can't have it. You can't have that piece of pizza or that one thing that you'd really love to have, a candy bar, whatever, anything. And now all of a sudden you can have something. What was that like? That must have been amazing.
Are you talking about before or
No,
after?
when you
No,
got
no,
like,
that little period of time when you got to eat more of what you wanted.
It was much more better because before all
what did you
those
have?
before was I was eating spoonful of cannabis and
Okay.
having insured drinks because they didn't have those.
So before
foods
the diet, back in 2008, when Haley started, is what she's mentioning here.
Huh?
She was because of the seizure, she couldn't chew because her tongue was chewed, so she was drinking Ensures.
Oh,
and
got
when
it.
when she started about cannabis and butter, we literally took that vaporized spent product, like we didn't completely spend it out, right?
Yeah.
And we mixed it with a tablespoon of butter, and she was eating her cannabis on a spoon mixed with butter, and that's how she had to eat it. And she's like, she did not like that at all.
Yeah. I mean,
Horrible.
butter's great, but it can be a little much.
But
Wow.
now, so then she did the ketogenic diet. We had this issue with her with the hypoglycemia and we had our dietitian. We contacted over 400 people on the listserv of dietitians and doctors.
Really?
2 years in a row, 2021 and 2022.
Wow.
Nobody had an answer. Endocrinology, no answer. Neurology, no answer. The answer was keep doing what you're doing. And I was like, that's not working.
Yeah.
We're not, these are too much. So September 2022, I contacted Dr. William Courtney. And first thing we had to figure out was how do we get it in our diet? Because how do I figure out what the carbohydrate, protein, and all that is?
Exactly.
Plus, we measure, like, we weigh her salts and her potassium and stuff. And we wanted, I turned to raw cannabis because my hope was that maybe it'll help a little bit to keep her strong enough to get through 2023 summer. That was my whole goal after 2022 summer. And I spent all that time from September until March 27th when we implemented a quarter of her prescription from Dr. Courtney.
Wow.
And in January, so I did back testing with it, like for the baseline. So because she has blood and ketose and glucose testing every day, all the time, that's how we know when these problems are happening as well. Right. I took data from January 1st, 2023, all the way through till the end of September 2023. Okay. And she started her raw cannabis on March 27th, 2023. The baseline prior to, in January, she had 75 hypoglycemic issues that required intervention of juice and fruit and vegetables in order to, and we're talking large amounts. She didn't go to the hospital.
for anybody who's listening to this and doesn't understand, it's like if somebody gets a hypoglycemic issue and you're diabetic or whatnot, sometimes you just drink a little apple juice or orange juice and you're
It
back
wasn't
in
working.
shape. But if that doesn't cut it, like you're talking, I mean, this is like on
Yeah.
multiple scale.
Oh, this was way off the charts. Like the hospital, we had her IV. They were watching. Um, it was bad. Like they were worried about risk of a heart attack because these things were everything was bottoming out. Her body could not hold its strength. And then
Wow.
we get it settled for a bit and it would last a little bit and then it would tank right out. And we're talking days, 24/7, every 15 minutes checking her glucose, trying to keep it above 3.
Wow.
Like it was bad. She even hit a 1.9 and she was going unconscious, throwing up. It was so bad. So
Wow.
bad. And so going into 2023, I was terrified because her diet had gone from a 4-to-1 to in just before the worst issues in 2021, the summer 20. Oh, I'm sorry. Just since the issues in 2021, that summer, gone from a 4-to-1 now down to a 2-to-1.
Wow.
And it was like pushing for a 3-to-1, but we didn't know, and it was like from January 2023 till March 27th. I mean, we have the list because the dietitian, obviously they have like when you change the ratios, and you can see the ratios go down, and then we start the raw cannabis and the ratios start going back up.
Wow.
Yeah. And what happened was in 41 days, on just a quarter, we started to see stability. We had only 25 incidents that did not require any medical intervention.
Wow.
By September, yeah.
So you're consuming this, is it a juice form that you're drinking that she's consuming?
It is juice and microgreens. And we're actually
Can't wait to
focusing
talk
on
about microgreens because I grow microgreens. That's part of my
microgreen cannabis.
yeah.
High
I've never done.
THCA strains.
Love it. That makes me so happy because I have a nonprofit that we do therapeutic horticulture and I grow microgreens as a fundraiser and I grow them for my own health as well. And we grow, I don't know, a dozen different types, but I never thought, I mean, I've heard of people doing cannabis microgreens. I guess the question is, where do you get enough seeds?
Well,
And
yeah, that's
because I go through a lot of seeds, planting
oh
microgreens.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thousands and thousands of seeds. Yeah.
Yeah. And right now,
when I did take the microgreens and the cannabis, it's more filling for me than just taking the cannabis, because
like
just
the
the
juice,
cannabis
right?
and you're drinking it, it's not really that filling at all and makes you really hungry. But when you take it with the microgreens and
because it's filling you up as you're doing it. Yeah.
it makes it more filling and able to have more meals.
I am so happy to hear this. Like this, when I saw your bio and I read microgreens, I'm like, yay, that's the
Oh yeah.
I love microgreens. And the thing that's so great about them is for people who don't understand microgreens is literally like all the energy that plant needs is in that seed, right? The plant doesn't need any food it just needs water to activate it. And then from the time that plant grows up, that first cotyledon leaf, and then that first new set of leaves, at that moment right there, it's considered a microgreen. And it has all that energy in it. And so when you eat that microgreen, you're eating everything but the roots, and you literally have the magic that's in that seed. And that's, if you understand what that means, it's like unlimited. Like it's literally, there's everything in there in this little teeny cup. Like they say, like broccoli microgreens, I study a lot because they're just amazing, but there's 40 times the amount of benefit in this little teeny microgreen. So it'd be like if you eat a cup of microgreens, you're eating like 40 cups of broccoli worth of goodness.
Exactly.
And who's going to eat 40 cups of broccoli? But you can eat a cup of microgreens. So it's incredible. I'm so
exactly.
glad.
And that's exactly how it should be looked at. Like You get
Yes.
your alfalfa sprouts, you get whatever,
Yes.
right? Same thing.
Yes,
Same thing.
exactly. And that's what I always loved Dr. Courtney and his work with the raw, because you don't hear a lot of people talking about the raw. I mean, I went out and got a wheatgrass juicer just so I could make the juice, and it was so much work and so much
It
mess.
is a lot of work.
It's a
It
lot.
is.
But then you discover ice cubes and you realize that
Oh yeah.
ice cubes are your friend then. And so
Oh
you
yeah.
make a big mess and
That's what we do. It's just huge batches, prepped, frozen, ready to go. So
yes. Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
But the problem, so on the keto diet, fiber is really essential, right? So there's a lot of constipation, a lot of impaction issues that happen.
Yeah,
And so getting that fiber, when the reason why microgreens are so important is you're able to have more consumption in, in your salads, that you're getting that fiber. When
right.
getting the carbohydrate without the fiber is really a problem, right? So rather than have that, also, if you're just drinking juice, you're mixing it with different things, trying to make it taste better. The
Right.
microgreens only have a slight tang to them. I had a few, but
Right.
she had the most. In Canada, though, we can do everything with the plant we want,
Yeah,
but we can't seed, like have germinate
of course not.
enough for it. So we're
Right.
actually I have a lawyer that has agreed to help me do my
Oh,
um,
good.
put in my application for my section 140 one for Haley for her microgreens, so that
Nice.
she will be able to consume her full prescription.
Oh, that's fantastic. As this story is being told, I hope you guys are finding this interesting and enjoyable enough to continue along. I would love to follow this journey and be a part of, you guys. I wish, hopefully, maybe you can come down and visit our little farm and see the
Oh, we'd
things.
love to do
Yeah,
that.
that would be
She's,
fantastic.
you know what? She's getting so since being on the microgreens, right? Within 41 days we saw benefits. Or microgreens and juice, right? Because
Yeah,
mostly juice, we're switching over because I can only give her so much because of the
right.
licensings, right?
Exactly.
I remember that when I was having so many seizures, I forget if it was the microgreens or the cannabis. But in 31 days, I had no seizures
Yeah,
for
we
31 days, and
Wow.
then 30 on the 32 days, the seizures came back, and
Yeah.
that
But
I
still, 31
been
days
so
of
long since
free.
I could have so I can not have seizures for 31 days without it. It's
That's
been
amazing.
very long.
So, do you want to tell him, since starting microgreens, what and your raw cannabis juice and everything, since you started that? Now, this is only a quarter of the prescription. I cannot
Right.
wait to see what is going to happen when we get a full
Exactly. Me
prescription.
too. I got shivers thinking about this.
It's
It could be
the
huge.
doctors can, like, I sent them all the findings, right? And there is like 60 pages and over 400 blood tests between January and the end of September. And
Yeah. Can't
like
argue with
the
this.
data, it's all blood data, right?
Yeah.
So I made, when I did all the collections of information and stuff, I was concerned about bias as, oh well, you're her mom.
Right.
Okay, fair.
Science
So
is science though. Yeah.
I went with only lab testing and only observational stuff written
Yeah.
were from professionals that worked with her. That way I had no say in it.
Right.
So I was like, this is
Good
going
job,
to
Mom.
make.
You're a good mom. I am so pleased with you. You're amazing.
So do you want to tell him all the things you've been able to do now that are different than before the juice? Where have you been? What have you done? What have you been up to?
Yeah.
I use
What are you able to do now? Since the juice, what can you do now?
now I can read a full book.
Do you want to?
But before that, I could only read half of it.
Wow.
When I was reading half of it, it was every couple of months, or it would be like 5-6 months later until I want to finish it. But I still don't get it finished.
Wow.
Should get through part. Hang on one second.
Sorry. Now that what I can do now is that I've read from in November and December. I was reading these 2 full books, and after I finished this book, I went on to this book.
Nice.
And then once I finished that one, I went on to this one.
Nice.
And this one.
Oh my goodness.
And this one.
Wow.
And this one.
Holy cow.
Then
I know, right?
this one. Then this one.
Wow.
Then this one. And now this one, because I'm still waiting for book
Wait for number 4
and 4.5, and then I'll read this one.
The whole series all over again.
Wow.
Of that particular series.
So fantastic. You know,
So this is just since December till now.
Wow.
Yeah,
it was from November today.
Or November.
But still, yeah, that's just less than 6 months. That's incredible. You know, I'm wondering, they're learning more and more about the gut biome and the vagus nerve and all of these things that, you know, are so important. And we don't still know much, but we're learning more and more. And it seems to me that a lot of these problems, I mean, there's no way to know. It's so complicated that what's causing what.
Huge gut brain
and another thing,
huge connection.
And another thing that I can do now that I couldn't do before is that I can now go in cars. Like I said before, I couldn't, and now I can go in cars without wheelchair.
Nice.
And I can go to, I went to a bar that has moving lights. And another bar was called
You went dancing at the one nightclub.
Nice.
And then you went to the karaoke bar.
Nice.
And,
wow, what a change.
Now, and the Cher concert.
And the Cher concert.
Really?
Impersonator.
And
wow.
And now we're gonna go camping this summer or spring.
Probably before it gets too hot.
Yeah.
Time ago, way before the Jews. I haven't gone camping for how many years?
Since before keto. Because we actually went when she was beginning keto because we did not know where things were going to go.
Right.
And then we got on keto and we couldn't do anything because of these hypoglycemic issues for years, right?
Right.
And the reason why she wasn't taken off the diet, so other patients who may come across these issues would normally, so here's the thing, you try cornstarch, you try other foods. This is the interesting part. You try multiple different foods and multiple different things, inulin, and as I mentioned, cornstarch, there's other things too. They'll add in. Now what'll happen is it will raise your glucose. Like if you're working on a somewhat stability. I'm not talking about when I have to completely full stuff. It will work and it will level out your glucose so that your glucose stays more stable. But the ketones will come down. Right. And if the ketones
you don't have
aren't
energy
there for her,
anything,
then what am I doing? Right. So the thing is with raw cannabis, that doesn't happen. It actually appears to be stabilizing the body itself. Her ketones are where they need to be, and the glucose stays where it needs to be, and there's no other issue.
And now, like one of the non-issues is sound used to really bug me, and it still does, but only certain kinds, not that many anymore. No, it's just a few kinds. Even, fans could bug me. Reflection from store glasses in the food, fluorescent lights are still still causing it, but not
as bad.
Not as bad.
Yeah.
And now, first it was like all of them. Now it's just a few of them.
You know, it kind of makes some sense if you think about it, because your endocannabinoid system is a regulatory system. It causes your body to do the things it's supposed to do, and your body's not doing what it's supposed to do. So it would make sense that as you get these cannabinoids in without having a psychoactive state, or at least not much of one, you're
They
able
appear to work like supplements, like a
Yeah.
vitamin supplement, because the length of time for it to build up in your body.
Right.
And then when we actually did a test where, not on purpose, but we ended up being a test that we documented, and it was 21 days it took after stopping. So we saw all the great results.
Yeah.
Stopped it for 21 days, just a quarter of it. After 21 days, symptoms of the hypoglycemia that started returning.
Wow.
That we had to actually start going, oh, this isn't good. You know, you could start seeing the buildup, and then it was like, that's not so good. Maybe we're going to have to, go right back in. And so it confirmed. And then again, it took a bit to get back up to, where you want to be. So being able to incorporate her full prescription, getting that Section 140, it's going to help us. We've already done multiple strain investigations with this, and in some microgreens as well as the juice and that. Now we're expanding. Year 2, we expand, and we're going to work on expanding the full prescription, expansion on variety, consistency, and efficacy of raw cannabis microgreens.
Have you thought about, and this is something that I'm just curious about, it makes sense. I'm a tinkerer, and I've been doing this, like I said, I think I grew my first plant in 1982, if that puts a point of view. I did my first extraction in 1989, and I've been compounding and formulating ever since. But have you thought about raw concentrates to add to the regimen, because you can get those higher doses without having to consume so much?
I am looking at that. I am looking at that as well. So, there's another thing I was going to mention. So Haylee has always had her oral activated cannabis, her nasal oral activated cannabis, and her vaporizer.
Okay.
We pretty much switched her completely over to acidic raw cannabis now as well. There's still more issues in catamenial time, but the hope is that she's going to be able to have the rest of her prescription, and that will deal with that, like the rest of the raw amount.
Yeah.
If not, then we'll just put back in the activated cannabis.
Well, I was thinking though, if you were to take a raw concentrate, like a rosin, or even
I actually was looking at that, because there is raw concentrate that I can get. So when I calculate in her oral cannabis, I actually have to use a liquid, and I could not buy it off the legal market, because I have to set hers at a very high concentration. If I add, so her diet is so specific, it's 65% MCT oil. Your body cannot have more than that, because then you're not getting enough arrangement of food fats, natural fats from your foods.
Okay.
So with it, also it'll mess with her ketones, because it'll increase them even more.
Yeah, your liver gets a little cranky after too much of that
really
MCT.
does.
It's great for a while, but then you don't want a cranky liver.
Yeah, no, not at all. So I was giving her the drops, and that and just kind of using an olive oil, which was a little less. But we're talking, I was doing 100 milligram per mil.
Okay.
Right, was what I had to make it. I couldn't just get it. So I was doing that. I haven't tried that yet. There is, through research, people that I'm working, the different labs that I'm looking at, with BC Children's was talking to me about, there is a lab out here that is working on aesthetics research.
Okay.
So I'm going to check out what they're doing with it.
Cool.
I know that there's some great work on extracted acidic cannabis, just the different cannabinoids in the States going on. So right. I know that it's there. We seem a little behind on that area.
Yeah, well, and the problem is the research isn't being shared very well because it's still Schedule 1 over here. And, people are doing it. I've been part of doing my studies, but who are you share it with? How do you get it peer reviewed? How do you get it legitimized? And we're still struggling with that, but there is a lot of work being done, and more people, as the doors are opening to whatever degree. We're still so far from being there, but at least from the beginning of your journey till now, the tool.
I'd love to see actually a comparison of the microgreens raw versus the same amount in acidic cannabinoids in an extract. Perhaps look at a comparability thing, because with the raw cannabis as food, it's when you're consuming it, the way it's going into your body is different than if you were just to have the extracting drops.
Agreed. And that's what I was thinking, is not taking away the microgreens and not taking away the juice, but adding
Add in. Yeah, no,
to it.
I
Yeah.
would totally do that and see if
Yeah.
that's going to.
You don't want to take away what you have that's working, but
Yeah,
in order to increase the amount of actives without
would be-
having to consume so much of this precious microgreens, which is so hard to get, and regular. I mean, somebody's got to keep growing it. It's got to be.
that's a thing, right? Is see, and then I think, what's going on with agriculture,
Yeah.
food science,
Oh.
and that, like,
Oh.
do we have to keep it as this forbidden seed? Do we have to do that? Can't
Nope.
we just have fields of it?
Yep. That would
Right?
solve
Like,
everything, wouldn't
so
it? Like,
to me, I'm like, I'm kind of going agriculture, food science. Let's
yeah.
look at not just what's, it's not just about the dietary fiber that's in it that I'm looking at.
Oh my
The
goodness. It's a
profanols, all
superfood.
these other pieces, the flavonoids, all of it that are in there, the omegas, the proteins,
All there.
you name it, the minerals, just on and on.
Exactly.
So I'm all for the extra, and actually I know who to contact here on some stuff that they're doing that. But I mean, basically that's almost any cold extraction,
Exactly.
right?
That's what I'm saying. It's
Basically
not
any.
hard to get. You could get a rosin, a wax,
Oh
an
yeah.
oil. You can get. I have a THCA oil that I know a guy that makes it, and
Nice.
I mean it's potent. It's the problem is
Flavored bubble hash,
Exactly. And the only issue that you have is it wants to convert. And so you have to protect it and keep it frozen if you can. And that way, it stays locked.
Well,
But
the juice is frozen too, right?
exactly.
And microgreens, they're
fresh.
just like a couple of weeks old, man.
Yeah.
You just cut them down and eat them, right?
Exactly. Well, I got to tell you, you impressed me more than most people I've talked to, and both of
Thank you.
and not just
It teaches me everything. This one here is teaching
I love it.
everything.
You both are a dynamic duo. Like I want to send you guys capes and cowls because you're superheroes. I mean, just this story is so powerful that the tenacity, the vigilance, the creativity, the willingness, the riskiness, the straight hard work, the intelligence that's required to do all these things that you guys have done, and now you're a dietary expert. I mean, you speak to me.
I had no. My dietitian is awesome,
Yeah.
and she's like, okay. I've been very blessed with having her teach me about different areas with it and that, and then just kind of branching out and having to look at different things myself, because I can't expect everybody else to get all the nitty. But after years of working with doctors, you've got to make sure that you're also on top of it, because you're the only one who knows what's going on with you, right?
You can't put your loved one's health in the hands of somebody else. You can't do it, because then when something goes wrong, then what? And at least along the way, you're that backup going, hey, wait a minute, or hey, did you think of, or and you did it all. You did that. You're doing it.
Oh yeah,
And
we
and
are.
I am just I couldn't be more impressed. And just it's not just the joy of being able to talk to you guys after this whole journey and that you're still on it, but I'm excited that I think you're on the precipice of really resolving this. And you know what? I deal with a lot of different people in a lot of different situations, and for a lot of years, everything from cancers to epilepsy, all kinds of seizures to dementia and Alzheimer's, Parkinson's. I mean, you just name it. And what I've learned, and the people that do what you're doing are the ones that find the answers. And the human body is incredible. It can do anything, and you can't give up. Like, you can't give up. And if you don't give up, then it has a chance to do that thing it can do. And I am confident your brain can rewire itself, and it
Oh
can
yeah.
fix what's wrong, and know it can do it.
It was hard at first, but now it's much more easier to do
yeah,
and understandable how important it is to keep on continuing.
yes.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine, like, if you could go back in time and show this little clip that we just did to the initial people that were figuring out the problem? They would have never in a million, they'd be like, that's impossible. That couldn't have happened. And
Exactly, right?
that's the
Wow.
beauty. That's the joy, though. You guys are overturning impossible. Impossible is only in our heads if we let it be there. And that's the powerful story that I was hoping to hear. And man, this is incredible. I am just I am tickled, and just the way that you're going at it methodically. You're not like, to talk to 400 people. I mean,
Oh
who
yeah.
does that?
Oh
Who
yeah.
does that?
And
I
it
mean,
wasn't
I
me.
do it.
It was my dietitian contacting her listserv of professionals that
I love
are
it.
involved in like they're involved in, she goes to she's at seminars all the time on
Yeah.
this, right? So
Well,
I was very blessed to have her to help me on this. And Dr. Courtney has been, man, I have contacted that man so much and had him try to help me, guide me through how to, what, and then I'll give sir, what do I do here? Right?
of all the people that you were able to connect with, that's the other part of this that's so remarkable, is you have been connected with some of the pioneers, some of the people that were the only people that could have helped you. And
Literally.
I know. I mean, 100%. I'm right there. It's a small world. Trust me. I mean, everybody you mentioned, I'm like, yeah, I know them, or at least I know of them if I don't know them. And it's a very small world. It's starting to get bigger, and I don't know everybody anymore. But where I came from, I pretty much did. And
But that's good that we don't, because that means there's
yes,
more people, there's
yes,
more research, there's more learning.
yes, yes.
Yeah.
Not only that, but those of us that are the beginners out there, we're a little crazy, and we're a little set in our journey, and you need people that are just regular people that think like regular people, because it balances out. When we're pushing hard to make something happen, we lean in one direction, where you want the person that goes, well, I don't know, I see this. They'll see things you don't see. And it's really important. But it just, I feel like there's some divine intervention or something that has just kind of like been guiding.
Repeatedly in our journey, repeatedly. Her
Agreed.
strain, first year it was grown and actually went out, she got it.
Yeah.
It went straight to Dr. Hornby, who tested it. It had never gone anywhere. It was like immediately. It was only the first year was grown after being bred.
It makes me feel good that other people are learning about this.
Yes.
Now, because now that other people are learning about this,
yes,
it's now I'm able to help them and show them that this is actually a good thing that can help you
much more
better than than like
all the
doing-
drugs.
Not doing it at all, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, or the alternatives, you know, I mean, and you know, frankly, you're my hero. Like I'm watching you and listening to you, and I'm like, wow, like you are incredible. And you now have a voice that as you're getting better and you're able to read and you're able to communicate your message, you're obviously intelligent and you know what you're saying. So as your skills improve, you're going to be a pioneer in being able to share this message. And I just, it's incredible. I'm just, I couldn't be more impressed. Well,
Sorry.
listen, guys, I am this is fantastic. I think what we're going to end up doing is
I wanted to just mention that
Oh,
I've
yeah.
talked to lots of families, and that like I've talked to over the years, you know, that have tried raw cannabis and raw cannabis juice and whatever raw cannabis in general,
Sure.
and even if they have different results, because I believe that it is a combination of the raw cannabis and the ketogenic diet that are working together and producing this effect that is amazing. And
Yeah.
I want to explore that more. But
Yeah.
everyone I've heard that has had raw cannabis, at the very minimum, their overall health was improved.
It just makes you feel good. I remember the first time I drank a shot of juice and I tried to describe to somebody how I felt. And I was like, well, I kind of feel a little high, but it's not high. I just feel good. And like my energy level increased, my clarity in my mind increased. And I mean, literally, like I juiced it and I took a shot straight up, right? Couldn't be more fresh. I cut the plant, I soaked the plant, I juiced the plant, I drank the plant, and it couldn't have been more fresh. And I was like, you can just like feel the vitality of that plant going right into you. And
Haley says she has more energy. I
Yeah.
haven't done the juice, so
you should try it.
so I can't speak on it, but she says that it definitely gives her more energy.
Yeah, that was the thing I noticed. Absolutely. I just think that, like you said, I mean, I've been advocating for a long time. I mean, I don't know if you know anything about my story, but I've been locked up and I've been through the ringer over this, and I've been an advocate for a long time. And my premise has always been, well, what the hell is your problem? This is food. And
Exactly.
it doesn't hurt anybody, and it doesn't matter what it does. It's food, medicine, fiber. It just does everything you could need. And
I know it does everything, and we just keep finding more and more things.
what's your problem? And that's been my premise. Like, I don't care about your restrictions, your ideas about that. Forget it. Just treat it like any other food that we think is food.
And that's what I think too, is like, there's no reason for that it's not. And I've always thought that, but now I'm like literally living it. So,
well, and the thing is if we could just get that collective shift, and it could turn into a crop like wheat and be grown anywhere by anybody for any reason.
I would love that. That's why I'm like, okay,
no
agriculture, microgreeneries. Let's talk about.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I go
production
seed company and I buy 5-10 pound bags of seeds so I can grow my microgreens.
Yeah.
If I want 10 pounds of cannabis seeds, I can't afford it.
No.
And it just doesn't make any sense. However,
I should be buying it like my broccoli seeds for my microgreens and stuff.
Yes, exactly. And that's the point. It's like, if you've ever grown cannabis, which I've been growing it for a long, long time, and it makes a lot of seeds. So it's not hard to get seeds. It's not like some of these plants that, make 4 seeds or something. A good seeded plant will make thousands and thousands of seeds. It's not a problem. It doesn't make sense. Like, none of this, it's just the greed. It's just the control. It's just all that stuff that is keeping us from having these tools. But we're getting there. And you guys are
I hope we can help push towards that, right? There's
so much. You're already doing it. Yeah. Well, I am so excited to hear the future of getting this exemption that you're that you're reaching out
Year
for.
2 is gonna be amazing.
Yes, yes, yes,
Sure,
yes.
it's hard to do it, but once it's gonna be in the future, it's gonna be much more easier, and you're gonna feel much more better, and not just more energy. You're gonna have energy like you can't believe it, like so much that much more than you have now. Even though you have energy now, it's going to be much more than you can ever imagine.
Yeah,
I can
like the
imagine
overall
it.
health, right?
I
Just
know, I know. I cannot wait. I cannot wait to see the progress. This is just so exciting. I am just so happy that we're able to have this conversation. And, again, if I had an award, I'd give it to you right now. You guys are just awesome. That's just, I'm one of these people like you guys. When I need to get something done, I just keep going. I fought the government for 6 years and got locked up 5 times in the process, and I never quit, never thought. I tried everything, and eventually all of it. And like you said, it's not one thing, it's a combination of things, and it's most things in life are that way. And when it comes down to health, especially, we get stuck in these, one trick ponies who are like, oh no, it's just one drug will save you. I'm like, no, it's your diet, it's your food, it's your exercise, it's your chemicals, it's everything all the time. And
yes.
you were able, that's the thing that impresses me the most, is you were able to watch multiple systems, multiple functions, and be diligent enough to notice the interaction, because that's where people screw up all the time. Like even growers are like, oh yeah, I've made 4 changes. I'm like, well, how the heck do you know what you did? You made 4 changes.
Yeah, too many at once.
Well, and the problem is with cannabis, if it has a problem, is it's too complicated, and you can't quantify what's doing what. So when you identify a strain that works, well, that's all you need, because you're never going to know, or at least not today. We don't know all the elements that are in it. We don't even know what they are in it. We just know that that strain works for you, and that's all you need to know. And
Yeah, so it's hard at first to understand it, but
right,
once you get used to it, you find out more about
exactly.
what you're doing and how you're feeling,
Yes.
and how much it helped you much more than just before.
Well, and what's really great is you got a mom who has been able to sit and look at the whole big picture all the time. So you're looking at the charts, you're looking at the blood work, you're looking at the EEGs, you're looking at her experience as a mom tied into that on your aura level, or whatever the heck that is. We don't even know how that works, but and you're paying attention to all of it at the time. So you're the general up on the hill, seeing the whole
Trying to map out what's working, what's not working. Okay, let's
exactly.
make adjustments where, and make sure that those are actually, I'm seeing the benefit of it, right? Otherwise,
Exactly. Well, man, I tell you what, I couldn't be more pleased, and I keep kind of raving about this, but I haven't had a conversation like this, and I can't remember when. It's been a long time that I've
awesome.
been able to be
Awesome.
a part of a story that is so powerful. So, consider me an ally. I'm gonna send you my phone number and
Okay, perfect.
everything. I'd like to be able to stay in contact with you guys, and anytime you want to do this again, just let me know. We can do this anytime.
Hey, right as soon as we got that section 140,
Yes.
we're going everywhere.
Yes.
We're talking to everybody, because
Yes.
we need that message to get out. This is what's happening.
Exactly.
I would love to see more research, and I'd love to see collaborations happen.
Yes.
But also, in general, the world's
Yes.
a big place. There needs to be more research, especially in this area. No one's really, I mean, it's touched on, but not
Not
to any
enough.
depth that it needs to be.
Not enough. And the problem is seizures, epilepsy, all these different syndromes that they put names to now, they're very rare compared to other ailments. And so when you're studying something, if you're looking at, I don't know, colon cancer, there's 10 million people to study. And then you deal with these rare syndromes, even if they seem the same, they probably aren't.
No,
And
like kids with the same syndrome do not have the same reactions to medications. They do not have,
exactly,
you know.
you really need the diligence that you have put in, and to try to find that somewhere else is like a spotted unicorn. I mean, they're just so hard to find. But I think that that's part of what this is about, getting the message, letting people know what we need
I
and what.
have to.
No problem. We
I'm
can
sorry.
end
I'm
this.
sorry.
I thank you guys for being here, and just know that I'm your biggest fan. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying it's hard at first, but then as you get it will slowly go by and get easier. But first you have it's gonna be hard because it's not easy to do. And
No,
then it will get easier as you get more in you or more done.
exactly, exactly. Well, Haley, I hope that you decide, and I think that you have, and you are, is, as you're getting stronger and you're getting more capable, that, you'll be able to use your voice to encourage other people that are in a similar situation to maybe, go down the road that you're going. And I mean, I think that that's a gift that you have, and only, you and people that have gone through what you're going through have that voice. So I think it's an incredible, you created a gift by you standing up. Inside you must be quite a fighter, because so many people probably would just give up and just let go and be nothing, be a vegetable.
Yeah, me, I don't want to keep on stopping because I know if I stop, not much is going to help other people. But if I keep on going, the more I can help them.
Exactly, exactly. And that's, people that want to help, like me, I want to help people, but I haven't been through what you're going through. So when I tell people about it, they say, okay, it has an impact. But coming from your voice, and when they know your story and they hear it from you, it's like 10 of me, because you're the one that knows, you're the one that's been through it. And also just to see that you come out the other side. I mean, it's not over by any means, but just the fact that where you are today, and it gives hope. It gives hope to somebody. Like, there's probably a mom who has a young child who is going through a problem like when you were a young child, and they probably feel hopeless. Like, what can we do? There's no answer, and then maybe they hear your story and they go, oh, maybe there is hope, right? I mean, and it could maybe cause that mom to dig in and fight a little harder, and build on what you guys have discovered, and go down your road easier. So you're right.
Because you have to start somewhere if you want to get more better and more healthier and all this energy and how you're feeling and all of that. It's like, because if you don't start from somewhere, you're not going to get there. That's
Exactly.
why you should always try to do your best to start from somewhere, even if it's not easy and even if it's hard. You gotta at least try to start somewhere so you could get there, because it's much more better if people start somewhere and then get there, because when you don't see the progress of what's gonna happen to you. And but if you do start somewhere and you do get there, then you start seeing the progress that you haven't seen before, and that will amaze you and and support you more and more as it goes up and up and up.
Well, you know, the greatest thing that you bring to this is when you guys started going through it, you were all alone. And you didn't have anybody else that was going through what you were going through. But now you get to be the next one up that's helping. Like, you ever see how a rock climber climbs up a mountain? And if you're the first guy up there, you got to find the way and you got to put those little metal pieces into the rock so that you can strap yourself on. So the next guy, he can come up way easier. And so that's what you guys have done. You guys have climbed up this mountain, and I don't know how close you are to the top, but you're probably getting close to the top, and you've driven in these little pegs, and now the next person that's behind you, they can follow you along in the same path that you've gone. And not only that, but you're there to talk to. Like, you guys are a resource instead of you going to these people who are discovering it with you. You know,
Yeah.
you guys are literally the experts in your
Yeah,
field.
that's what I mean. That's why you have to start somewhere to get there, and how it's hard at first, but as you go by, it gets easier and easier and easier, and then at some point you're able to get there. At
Yes.
some point, to the top of the mountain, and when you do,
Then you go,
find out-
yeah.
find out that is worth it because you made the change that you wanted that you couldn't before.
Exactly.
Haley's all about helping.
Yes, yes,
All
yes.
about helping.
Well,
When we started, I remember people were like, "When you're getting your kid high," because hers was a
Right.
1-to-1. She wasn't high. There was no.
Exactly. Exactly. No, and you know, the good thing is you had the good sense to not give a damn about what anybody else thinks, because
Some of those medications make her higher than her cannabis ever could.
Exactly.
You know,
People,
like, it's not even a.
I know.
It was not on my radar of things to be concerned about.
Oh my God. I mean, it's just crazy. Well, listen, guys, I am just, this has been a great recording and a great session, and I'm going to probably break this into about 2 or 3 episodes because I think it plays better that way. And I will give you the heads up when it gets published, but now that we've had this, I'm going to hurry and move it up to the front of the line. I'm going to process it and get it out there maybe early next week. So
Perfect.
I think this is a great story, and I'm just you know, I haven't been up to Canada in about 4 or 5 years, but went up, visited Devin and Janice. Yeah, it was probably, I don't know, 2018, 2019, I think is the last time we were up there. But man, it's just maybe soon enough we'll be able to get up there again, and you know, love to meet you guys in person. I think that'd
Oh
be
yeah, that would be fun.
awesome.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
It'd be nice to meet you.
Fantastic. Well, guys, thank you so much for being. And
Thank
it's a
you so much.
final message that you want to share for everybody. This is what I call my parting shot. Anything you want to throw out
Eat your
there?
cannabis greens.
Yes. All right. Love it. Cannabis microgreens. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I will talk to you soon. And thank everybody. This has been the Healthy Living Podcast, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you. Bye.